Hello guys, let's go back to where we were last time. So we had this option where we are adding a backend call. So to do a recap of where we came from is we want, whenever we click on this button, the pin that is entered in here should be the parameter that is going to be passed to our endpoint. Okay, so we need to confirm is it the same. Now there's one thing that we did not talk about. If we go back to our API here, this get pin, you'll notice that I have some parameters that are inside the account number and API key, and we are not yet accounting for those parameters. So those parameters are I have already done an API that is going to be populating my data from those stuff. So that data is coming from my local state. So there's an API that is saving all those parameters inside my local state. So I'm going to show you how we are going to be adding those parameters to our endpoint. Very well. Now let's go ahead and do some of the things. We're also going to encounter an error that I know you are going to encounter maybe. It's going to be helpful. Now, when we create this, let me just delete this. Let's create a new action. And when you click on it, it should give you an option to choose what you want to do. So I want to call an API, the API that we just created. Now, the name of the API is going to be the getPin API. You notice that you get all the APIs here. It needs some parameters. It needs an account number and an API key. So those data are going to be coming from a local state. So I'm going to create here parameter, account number, and it's going to be coming from a variable. Okay, so the variable is going to be my local state variable. So local state variable. If you don't know what these local states are, you can just go ahead and watch a video on flutterflow channel where they explain what these stuff are. So you notice one thing here. I have account number here and I have account number here. I cannot access it. Why? Because in my API, I made the account number to be, okay, I made the account number to be an integer, but in my local state, so if you go here, you notice the local states here. I have my local state here, which is account number, and it's a string. Okay, so I cannot delete it because I'm using it somewhere else. So I just have to make my account number to be a string also, but it's an integer. So I advise when you're making local states and you use them, make sure they are matching with your actual API responses. I'm going to go to my API call, go to my getPin API here, and I'm going to change this from integer to string. So if I save this and then I go back to my code, you notice some changes basically. So I'm going to come here, go back to my flutterflow stuff, and I'm going to click on this. Now if we click here again and we go to local state, you notice that now we have access to all these other stuff because they are all strings. So we are now going to attach it to the account number. The next parameter is going to be the API key. I'm going to come here and select API key. Good. It's going to be coming from a variable and is also in our local state. So local state basically it's saving inside your device. So you can choose it as persistent or not persistent. We also learned that in the flutterflow video. So I'm going to take the API key. So we have our two parameters accounted for. Now, what do we need to do after we have done the API call? So down here, we just need to confirm is the pin that we get, is the response that we get from the API the same as the actual data we get. So note that you're making an API call here. So we have this action output variable. Now the action output variable is a variable that will be holding your responses that come from the API. We are going to call this API. Let's call it API pin less. So let's just call it API pin less. So this is the variable that is going to be populated when you call this API. Good. Now we can use this variable in the next level. So we can come here and add a condition. We are going to add a condition here, and you're going to say if. So click on this, and you're going to get a condition. So you can click on this, and you're going to create a condition. So the condition is going to be this. So unset. So it's going to be if. Okay, you're going to take a widget state. So you can start with the action output or the widget state. So you can say, okay, let's take the widget state. Now enter pin. Enter pin is the input text that we created. Okay, let me show you what I mean. So let me go back here. You notice we have this text field here, which is called enter pin. So widget state accesses this text field. Okay, so if you have another text field here called maybe date or maybe username, it will give you that in the action flow. So don't worry about it. It is something that will give you as an option, but it's always under the widget state. Okay, so we want to check if the widget state here, pin, is equals to our response that is going to be coming from our API. It's going to be coming from a variable, and you're going to select this. So it's going to be coming from local state. So we are going to check if, sorry, not local state, but the action output. Now the action output basically is referring to the last action that we created. Remember, we called an API, so the action output is going to be the response from the API. And as you can see here, the variable we created, which is the API pin response, is going to be coming from there. Now, we are going to be selecting it. Now, remember, we created a JSON path in the previous video. So that JSON path is what you're going to be using. So we want the JSON body, and you also need to check for the pin, JSON path, sorry. Now, we have the JSON path name here, and we are going to be using the user pin that we created. Good. So notice what you're doing here. We are checking if the pin we enter in the text field is equal to the pin that we get from the API call. So that's what we are doing. So click on save there, and you can confirm this. Now, whatever that happens here, this is a true or false situation. A true or false situation basically means if whatever that you checked here is correct, then do this. So what you're going to do next is we are going to add an action. Now, the action that's going to be here, we want to call a snack bar. So it's something called a snack bar. It's just going to tell us if the pin is correct or whatever. You can think of it of an alert, but a small alert. So show snack bar, and whatever that's going to be inside the snack bar is going to be whatever you want. So it can be from variable, maybe from specific. It can be a specific value or from variable. But in our situation, let's just say specific variable. So we want to say maybe pin is collect. Pin. Okay. So this is going to tell us collect pin. Good. Now, if this is false, you're also going to add another action, and you're going to call also snack bar. Okay. Now this snack bar is going to say in collect pin. So specific value. Going to say wrong pin, something like this. And then here you can just choose some weird stuff to enter here. The background color, we want it to be reddish, so I'm going to use this. There you go. Also, for this other snack bar here, we want it to be green. We want it to be green. There we go. Now, when this is when this is marked as wrong, we want to now terminate it. I'm just going to terminate it from here. So if this is wrong, we're going to terminate it. Or you can just revert back to the previous page. It's up to you to choose. So we have this option. Now, if this option is correct, then we can navigate to another page. I'm going to add an action here, and I'm going to say show snack bar, and then I'm going to navigate to another page. I'm going to navigate to home page. So maybe you want to go to the home page, and that is it. All right, so we have that. Now all that remains is to test our code. So I'm just going to run it here, and let's see what we get. All right, so there we go. We have this button here, but there's one thing I forgot to do. I forgot to add a button that will be taking us to the login page. So there's a place where you can add a button. Just going to take you through the process of how I would do it in my situation, and let's see. So let's go ahead and go back to our code here, and let's go to the home page. So I want to add something in the home page that is going to navigate us to the enter pin page. So this is basically my home page. I have this button here. Let me just add an action to it. So I'm going to click on the button, then go to the action flow editor, and I'm going to go to add action here, and I want it to navigate to the page we just created. So navigate to, and it's going to go to the navigation page we just created. So we have enter pin page. So this is where we wanted to go. So click on that and close it. So that's all you need to do, and run it. All right, let's go back to this. Now this is the page. Now whenever I log into the application, basically what's going to be happening here is that every time I log in, An API will be called that will be saving our account number and API key in the local state. So that's what is actually happening. So I'm just going to log in here, and let me see. So I'm going to log in, and there we go. So our API has been called that saved some data in the page basically. Now this button is going to take us to the enter pin. Now this enter pin, we want to confirm if it's correct. Let's enter the pin that's there. 1, 2, 3. Click on it. Pin is correct. That's good, and it brought us back to the home page. Now let's enter a wrong pin. 1, 2, 2, 2. Should say wrong pin. So basically, that's how you do it with Flutterflow and an API. So if the pin is correct, you could now navigate to the next step if you're working on a procedural payments page. So if you click on this and the pin is wrong, it just stops and remains in the same page. Now, but if the pin is correct, just go to the next page, to the page you have entered. So that's the beauty of Flutterflow, and you can build anything with it. So see you in the next video, guys, and thanks for watching.